Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, and like I said at the end of June, we would be talking about HBO's The Leftovers. So we're starting with Season 1, Episode 1. It's the pilot episode, so really excited actually to be doing this. Didn't know when I'd be doing this, but when I was found like trying to think of something to do that's been, to review that's been out that's good, something that I like. It took a little bit, and there's some stuff on that little poll that I took, mini poll, that I really want to still do, especially Halt and Catch Fire. But in the end, I kind of knew The Leftovers was going to win this because I love it so much. Now, I mean, I have the book. I read the book by Tom Perrotta. Fucking really good. My little dog-eared copy. I used to read it on my breaks at work. I'd sit in the cooler and read. And this video is actually supposed to be out and done. I mean, you wouldn't know that, but it's like 4:46 right now as I'm recording this. This was supposed to be up a long time ago, but I had like an actual like Breaking Bad moment where I was trying to watch the episode and take notes and eat my lunch and do a little video editing at the same time. Yeah, I know, right? Just a little bit of doing a little bit. And there was a fly that got into my room, my whole area here, my whole like apartment. And I don't let bugs into my, I keep my room pretty sealed up because I can't stand fucking bugs. And this one fly got in here, and I just became obsessed with finding it. And I probably spent an hour trying to kill that son of a bitch. But finally it's done, and now I can record this. I can finally get back to it. So this has taken me about 3 hours to start recording. So anyway, I hope it's worth it to everybody. So The Leftovers, yes, like I said, written by Tom Perrotta. They expand, of course, on the book, like a lot of stuff does. But what a lot of stuff doesn't have is the author attached and writing and helping along the way, the whole way, and expanding on his own material, okay? This isn't like George R. R. Martin, who just, kind of left Dumb and Dumber to their own devices and then, kept on writing. Like, this is over and they continued it with, like a lot of times they don't go on with the writer's help. And that's a problem. I did take notes. There's one page, but there's a lot written on here, and I had to like paraphrase. So, anyway, for those of you who are not familiar with The Leftovers, it is, well, it was written by Tom Perrotta, but the show is co-created by Damon Lindelof. And I know that is a very dirty word these days. Here's my thing. Okay, what you can say whatever you want, you can feel any way you want about David Lindelof. I feel similarly to what a lot of people do. because of like what happened with Lost. Some people are just really, really, I mean, look, Lost, in my opinion, was one of the most watchable shows up until the last 10 minutes. And I just choose not to let that destroy it. Now, do I hold that against them, that last 10 minutes? Yeah. And I know that and there's more than just the last 10 minutes, but for the most part, like just watching it week to week, waiting to see where it was going, it's only after the fact that I feel that way about Damon Lindelof. It doesn't change the way that I really watch Lost for the most part, because I do watch Lost. I'm not going to throw Lost away just because it didn't give me everything I wanted. There are problems with that kind of thing, because this has a mystery box too, like a J.J. Abrams kind of thing. And what's different about this and Lost is that the mystery box, man, there was so much put on that mystery. This is a show about people and how they deal with what happens to them. Like how The Walking Dead isn't really about zombies. Do you know what I mean? And no matter how you feel about Damon Lindelof and most of his other stuff, however you want to talk about it, The Leftovers to me is like the diamond in the rough of his career, as far as like he really got this right. And even though it didn't go on longer than as long as I wanted it to, because it's criminally underwatched, it's criminally underappreciated. It should have been winning Emmys when other shows were. But let's just jump into it. So I'm just gonna play the trailer really quickly, just so that you guys can. Not really quickly. It's about 1:30. But just so you guys can, if you're new to the show, again, like full spoilers. All right, this is gonna be for people who have loved this show and for new watchers that really want to do a kind of a deep dive into this. So here's the trailer, and maybe this will get you to want to watch it if you haven't seen it before.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, for those who want to, let us pray for mercy and forgiveness and the return of those who have left us.
As to the instantaneous disappearance of 2% of the world's population, your conclusion as to what happened, some 140 million souls, is, I don't know.
No matter what we suffered, we are still alive.
It's gonna be okay.
How's it gonna be okay?
Please come home. Please come home.
She's not coming back. None of them are.
It wasn't the rapture. They were no better than us.
What you're doing is not making things better.
We want them to remember something they want to forget.
They are trying to provoke us.
We can never be weak.
For whoever is joined with all the living, there is hope.
Do you know where my family went? Do you know what it was?
It was a test for what comes now.
All right, so that's the premise basically of this show. 2% of the population has disappeared. Approximately, roughly 140 million people just suddenly up and disappear off the show. And this show has quite a freaking cast to it. And just starting with, we're just going to kind of go over everybody here a little bit. So Justin Theroux, I've dug Justin Theroux since, I think, American Psycho. So it's been about 20 years since I think he's been in other things, like I think like Mulholland Drive and stuff like that. But I hadn't really paid much attention. I wasn't really paying that close attention back then. But I do remember him from American Psycho and being like, who's that guy? Same with like, there was like Josh Lucas was in that. But anyway, if you don't know who Justin Theroux is, well, he's the guy punching the wall here. He's the guy on the cover of this book. He's the guy on my t-shirt. But if you need a little more help, you might know him from a little show called Maniac that was on Netflix.
Hello. Have you ever had the blues?
Or maybe you're having trouble grinding your teeth. Hi, I'm Dr. James K. Mantle Ray.
And I'm Dr. Robert Muramoto. Do you suffer from anxiety?
PTSD, body dysmorphia, hypoactive sexual desire disorder. It doesn't matter.
We can fix you.
It takes decades for therapy to make a dent. Who has the time?
No one.
The ULP can make you happy, healthy, and normal in 3 days. You heard that right. 3 days.
You do not have to be lost in the cold, dark void anymore.
Nebardine Pharmaceutical and Biotech. Start your treatment today.
All right, so yeah, if you haven't seen Maniac on Netflix with Justin Theroux and Jonah Hill and Emma Stone, do check that out. It's from the guy who did the first season of True Detective. So yeah, but Justin Theroux is fantastic, and he's very, very versatile. And in this, his performance as Kevin Garvey on this show is one of the most powerful and dramatic and fucked up performances I've ever seen on television. He's really, really good. He's one of those guys that, man, I really want somebody like Vince Gilligan to put in something really good. I really want to see him get something really, really sweet pretty soon. But we also have, who else is in this show? We have Carrie Coon. Carrie Coon, who, if you don't know, okay, I got this shirt because I wanted a leftover shirt. But I also wanted a Carrie Coon t-shirt. And then I was like, ooh, Carrie Coon is on this shirt and Justin Theroux. So yes, many, many times on my channel, I mentioned my love of Carrie Coon. It's probably starting to sound a little creepy by now. She's just got that thing. She's got that thing, man. Every time I see her, I just go, woo, boy. I mean, when I saw her in Gone Girl, I was just, it was all over for me. I was just like, and so, even as Proxima Midnight in Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, I'm like, I was just like, I didn't care. I was like, when she, spoilers, but when she gets killed at the end of Infinity War, I was like, oh, you killed Carrie. But she did die in spectacular fashion, so at least there's that. So yeah, Carrie Coon has been in a bunch of things lately. She got really hot, and I love her. I'll see her in anything. That's it. It's just over. I will watch movies that I probably would normally not watch just because she's in it. But she was really, really great in Noah Hawley's, what's that, third season, I believe, of Fargo. And here's a scene from that.
You again. 6 flights before Tuesday?
Right. What are the odds?
I never asked. Paul Moraine.
Gloria Burgle.
What do you do, Gloria?
I'm in law enforcement.
Oh, like the police?
Exactly. I'm chief in Eden Valley, or was chief. We're being swallowed by the county, so hierarchy's a little unclear at present.
Oh, married or divorced?
I'm sorry?
Your finger. You used to wear a ring. Now you don't.
Divorced. Or not yet, but anyway.
Before he goes off to war, a soldier gives his wife a bill of divorce. He says, "Dear, this is your bill of divorce. If I don't return within 12 months, it becomes effective from this moment onward." Meaning that if he dies, they've been divorced the whole time he was gone. If he returns, they were always married.
Huh. That's like, I'm my own grandpa.
Which means, if you really think about it, for the entire year, she was married and divorced.
Well, we got a hearing next month, so probably won't have to wait that long.
Good.
All right, keep walking, dipshit. This one's mine.
No, that's not. We know each other.
All right. Look, I'm just gonna cut to the chase here, gorgeous. Am I getting laid tonight or what?
What?
Cool. Thanks for the beer.
Okay, so that scene is also helped by the great Ray Wise, and It's Always Sunny's Rob McElhenney? I don't know how to say his name. Funny, the guy who plays Mac. That is Fargo, if you haven't checked out, is really great, and Carrie is fantastic in the season that she's in. And we can't talk about The Leftovers without talking about the great Ann fucking Dowd. Pardon me, my French, Miss Dowd, if you ever see this video, but Ann fucking Dowd is in this. If you don't know who Ann Dowd is, I can't help you, man. Look her up. Right now, she's really famous for being Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. And in both of these shows, she's a woman that you love to hate. But in this show, she's... Oh, man, she's on... Like, both Aunt Lydia and Patty Hughes are such powerful, like, intimidating women that I don't know what to say about her performance other than brilliant. But, and on this show, as the very silent most of the time Patty Hughes, she brings so much ferocity to a role with almost no dialogue that I just can't, this is one of those, like, I'm not worthy, man. Ann Dowd would wipe the floor up with me with, like, if I took acting classes for 30 years, I probably could never act as good as she does. But here's a memorable part from The Handmaid's Tale to give you a little refresher if you don't know who I'm talking about.
But you knew what she was.
I knew she was gay.
That girl, that thing, was an offense to God. She was a disgusting beast.
Why didn't you report the conversation?
Because she was my friend. Remember your scripture. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who suffer for the cause of righteousness. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I remember.
Alright, so that's Ann Dowd from Handmaid's Tale, so she's fucking amazing. And bear with me, everybody, because this is just how it's going to go, right? I'm doing this how I want to do it, and I'm talking about everybody. I love to give acknowledgments. I love to let people know where these actors come from. And so if you're new to the channel, this is how I roll. So if you're waiting for me to just get to the parts you want to talk about, skip ahead, because this is going to be a minute. And I put Amy Brenneman up here now because I tried looking up stuff for Amy Brenneman, who plays Lori Garvey in this. She's so great. Again, another almost, no dialogue performance. Her heartbreaking. You can see on her face. She's the wife of Kevin Garvey, played by Justin Theroux, who's left the family after the events of the beginning of the show. And I just couldn't find anything. Like, she was in a really good movie. I believe it was by Neil LaBute, or LaBute, however you say it. I think it was Your Friends and Neighbors. She was really good on that. And I believe she was the first butt on television. I think on network television, I think she was the one from NYPD Blue who, when she rolled over, they showed her butt. I don't know why I'm not saying ass, but I just did, so. But, yeah, I mean, she was on Judging Amy, and look, I didn't watch it, okay? I know Tyne Daly's on it, and everybody loves Tyne Daly, but I just didn't. It was CBS, right? So, no. But we also can't talk about this show without talking about Christopher Eccleston, who plays Matt on this show, who's the brother of Carrie Coon's character. He's a priest. When we see him in this, very briefly, he's not acting very priestly. But you might know Christopher Eccleston from a lot of things. He's in 28 Days Later, Thor: The Dark World, unfortunately. But he was also in another thing that some people know. I don't know.
They're made of plastic, living plastic creatures. And they're being controlled by a relay device in the roof, which would be a great big problem if I didn't have this. So, I'm going to go upstairs and blow it up. And I might well die in the process, but don't worry about me, no. You go on. Go on. Go and have your lovely beans on toast. Don't tell anyone about this, because if you do, you'll get them killed. I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
So yeah, Eccleston was on this little show called Doctor Who. I think a couple of people might have known what I'm talking about, but he's pretty fantastic, and he's great on this show too. And yet another person on this show that I can't not talk about is also Liv Tyler is on the show. She plays Meg, a woman who at first is stalked by the guilty remnant, the people dressed in white, but then eventually kind of comes to become, by the end of the episode, kind of has a change of heart. But Liv Tyler has had a very strange career because from Aerosmith videos to Michael Bay movies to being in one of the greatest trilogies of all time, she's also just kind of not been, I don't know, like, I like her, but I was always trying to think of what do I really like, what has she ever done that's completely blown me away? And I guess underwhelmingly I have to go with a movie that I haven't seen in forever, but when it was out and brand new, I saw this movie a fucking bunch of times when I was 20.
Hi, what are you doing up here?
You listen to me.
Hello, Corey.
You're so special and you're so talented and you have everything it takes. You have more than everything it takes. And you're really stupid because you don't know that. And I know you don't love me anymore, and I know that I blew it, but at least I know that. And if you don't go to art school, and if you don't understand how special you are, then you know nothing.
Corey,
And I did love you, and I still... Only I didn't realize it really was love, because it was more than love, and it wasn't just some stupid feeling in my stomach like everything else. And I'll never love anybody as much as you, and I hate you! Hate you!
Corey,
Why did you wait so long?
I quit. I'm going to art school. In Boston. So I could be near you.
Really?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have told me. First I laugh, but now it's sinking fast. Whatever you told me, well, baby, I don't wanna take advice from fools. I'm just thinking everything is cool until I hear it from you. Until I hear it from you. It gets hard, the memories faded. Who gets what they say? It's likely that.
Alright, so yeah, I think I've been meaning to watch Empire Records for a while. I think I need to go back in that, but I don't know. Am I going to review it afterwards? Like, that's the thing. Can I review Empire Records without... Like, what if I hate it now? I don't know. So anyway, that's pretty much most of the cast. There are some more standouts, like people that I want, like Chris Zilka as Tom, Margaret Qualley as Jill, Emily Mead, who we'll be talking about, Amanda Warren as Lucy Warburton, Michael Gaston as Dean. Michael Gaston, or Gaston, however you pronounce it. I like him in a lot of stuff. We got the Carvers, the two twins, Patterson Joseph, Peter Berg, the director of this episode. Now that's another little thing to talk about is Peter Berg directed this. Peter Berg is a much better director than he is an actor. I remember watching him in movies. There was a ski movie way back in like the late 80s, early 90s that I watched of him. And I think it had one of the actresses from like General Hospital on it. But anyway, I don't know. He's a pretty good director when he does stuff like this. Because I think he was the one, wasn't he one of the... Did he direct Battleship? I don't remember, but like when he does stuff like this, you know, I like it, but he doesn't do enough like this. And I know that, who am I? I can't even direct anything, right? But I'm just saying, I really liked him here. I really, really like what he did here. And so with that, we got to jump into this. We got to start talking about it. So, like the whole thing says, 2% of the population, 140 million people gone. And it's 3 years later after everything has happened. And we basically, the first part of this whole show, we get introduced to the Garveys one at a time, where first we see Kevin, played by Justin Theroux, and he's out running around. He sees this dog. You know, it's looks like a kind of a mutt, raggedy dog, but, you know, seems friendly enough. And somebody blows it away. And it's one of the more shocking things that I ever experienced when I was watching a television show, was that scene coming out of nowhere, where I was jarred. Not startled, I was jarred. And it was like, okay, so we're killing dogs now. All right. That's the kind of show we're going to be. All right. I'm going to, you know, then all of a sudden my tolerance threshold goes way up. Because if I've got to watch a show that's shooting dogs, then I'm going to have to turn my sensibilities off. We also meet Lori, who's a part of the Guilty Remnant, the group of people that dress in white, smoke cigarettes, don't talk, and make it pretty much their life mission to bother people. On the surface, anyway, okay? When you first look at it, it's like, what is wrong with these people? We are introduced to Jill through the school, where school is weird now. Everybody's allowed to pray in school now because of what happened. And, you know, poor Jill, she's just a teenager, and, you know, being an awkward teenager in a time where basically, you know, after this, it seems kind of like teenagers just stop giving a fuck. Like, even more so than usual. Kind of like a what's the point kind of thing. And then there's Tom. Tom, who is working for a cult leader slash guru slash whatever named Wayne, who's got a congressman blindfolded to go visit him. And that's our first initial seeing where this family is. Like, we don't even get to see where they were. Because at the beginning of the show, which is one of the more subtle openings to a show ever, that's going to set up a premise of this, of how just making it small and personal before you start to expand it. So you just start with this one woman who has a baby that won't stop crying, which is kind of funny because she's probably, you know, we don't hear her say it, but, you know, part of you wants the kid to just be quiet, right? You just wish that, oh my God, be quiet. When she gets him in the car, and then all of a sudden the crying just disappears, and she turns around and the baby's gone. And you see, I love that they took the time to show that the window's open, so that you could go, well, maybe somebody, you know, and her look and see that the window's open and go, okay, well, clearly somebody just took my baby and ran, but how fast could they have possibly done it? Because she was crying, she stopped crying, I turn around, she's gone. And she's out of the car. You know, we see a cart hit a car that looked like somebody had been pushing it. And then you see a car crash into another car. And that's really it. All we hear is yelling in the distance, this kid crying about where's his dad, and her screaming about her baby as everybody's running around the car. And it just is just crazy. And then we get that jump to 3 years later and the introduction to everybody. And how there's they're keeping a tally from every country. When they get to China, it's interesting though, without, you know, because they try to say that it's only 1 in 50 people disappeared, which is 1 in 50, man. So that's still a lot of people. Even 140 million, that's still a lot of people. I wonder where the author came up with the number, because they said it was 27.18 million people in China. So I mean, there's still probably 1 billion people in China, but just 27.8 million of them just disappeared. And what I like about this show is it's not too concerned on an episode to episode basis ever to be really solving what happened. It's really about how these people cope. And all the different things that people do to cope. whether it be grasping on to some religious fanatics or people like Patty Hughes who have got some sort of real statement that they feel like, you know, that they need to do and that they're committed to and they'll go to the mattresses for. And then there's all the families that are left and ruined by things that either they've done or not done. I mean, with Lori leaving her family and then the whole family just becoming splintered and all these families destroyed. People like Nora that you find out, you know, like later, but we'll talk about that. But it's just so fucking hardcore. And this is a heavy, deep, desperate, depressing, sad show. But at the same time, it's amazing and makes, like, it leaves an emotional impact that is not negative as it goes. And I fucking love it. I like that on the TV they're saying, you know, like, these guys, these scientists are in front of Congress or whatever, and or Senates or whatever, and they're saying, like, after all this time, you're saying you don't know what happened. Like, in that tone of, like, and it's like, well, you know, we're paraphrasing, right? He says we're paraphrasing that we don't know. So there's clearly more to be said there than we don't know. But there's, like, I'm sure he's just basically skipping over theories. Like, there's nothing to be proven. People are just gone and there's nothing to be done about it. But at least the scientist has a chance to get back at the guy and say, well, you know, who is to blame? It's like, well, if God was involved, God's sitting this one out. And I like that. I like that a lot. But the guilty remnant now are starting to stalking people, or they have been stalking people. But this is where we get to see what they're doing. They keep files on all these people. We don't know the criteria or anything, but I'm assuming that their criteria for stalking these people, and I'm calling it stalking, I don't fucking care, because wherever they're getting their information from, it seems like they're compiling people that are, or would be, what's the term I'm looking for, that it's like just more easily would succumb to, I don't know, God, I really hate when I can't think of something like that, but there's just some people that would be in a position mentally and emotionally to succumb to this kind of group, or would be looking for something like this. I just wrote, Patty is an impressive woman, because she is. You know, just without even saying a word, just writing things down, she gets her point across. But, you know, really quickly, I just want to get the congressman's storyline and Tom's out of the way. Because Tom, he's got this guy named Wayne that he follows. And he's this basically a David Koresh, you know, type guy, guru, cult leader out in the middle of nowhere that this congressman wants to go to because he hears that this guy unburdens you. There's rumors going on, and they had to smuggle this guy in to see, you know, Father Wayne, or whatever the hell his name is. And Brother Wayne. I think it's Brother Wayne. Well, we get to Brother Wayne's place eventually, after all the, like, chutes and ladders, or hoops. Chutes and ladders. All the hoops you got to jump through to get to Brother Wayne. It's just like, well, he's just a guy who likes to keep a bunch of young Asian girls around. And he's spouting out things like prophecies and dreams. And, you know, it's like, sure, maybe he's seen something. Okay? Maybe something has told him something. But does that mean you got to keep a harem of Asian women that you don't let people touch? For whatever reason. Now, I know there's more to it than that, but it's creepy. It's really creepy, and no matter what anybody tells me, if anybody tries to tell me, it's just gross. Okay, this whole thing is gross. But people desperate, you know, with no explanation, start reaching for things that, you know, to make sense of things, to wrap their brains around it, to get the fear out of their head, because a lot of people just can't handle the fact that shit just happens sometimes, chaos and madness, and I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know, you can't control things, you know? We could all be I could be talking to you right now, and the fucking planet could just get hit by an asteroid, and this would, and we'd be done for, just gone, you know? And so it's just, I don't know. But there really isn't much to this story in this episode, and kind of throughout, it's the worst story going on in the show is Tom's story, in my opinion. If you like it, tell me why. I come from a cult background, and I do, yes, Jehovah's Witnesses I consider a cult. So it's just maybe that's why I don't like it that much. But this is a whole other animal. And so the congressman sees Brother Wayne, and all of a sudden his burdens are gone when he holds him. And whether that's a psychological thing or an actual, some sort of power that after the thing that happened, he now can do. I'm thinking it's more sociological and some sort of like hypnotism almost, but whatever. But he asks Tom later on to watch over Christine because she's very important and some bad shit's coming and he can't really talk about it. And it's like, well, that's just great, right? That's what you want to hear. But that's pretty much it for him. That's pretty much Tom's story, and I just wanted to get it over with. But going back now to the main story, so Kevin takes the dead dog's like leash back to its owner, and basically she's like, dog's been gone for 3 years, my husband's gone, I don't fucking care. People are just kind of, like the whole population just seems kind of, everything just doesn't matter and pointless, and that's why everybody's grasping and looking for answers anywhere or not. Some people are just giving up. Lori finds out from Patty that she's not on the list of people that are supposed to go to the Heroes Day anniversary, 3-year anniversary thing that's going on, so you know what's coming with that. My phone is buzzing like a lot right now. But we get, there's that deer in the front yard, but then there is no deer. Kevin's sanity is put into question very early in this series, or if he's seeing things too. Because again, they never really make it that clear if it's just in people's heads, or if they're you know, emotionally, if they're actually seeing things, or they're just emotionally fucked up. I'm along the lines of just that things are, there's some really weird coincidences that are happening because with the deer later on in the show, but they never answer it. But I don't really need those answers. I think that it's just, it's more interesting to leave it a little bit vague. And some people don't like that, I know. Some people want to play, and sometimes I do too. Okay, let's be clear on that. Sometimes I want straight up answers, like stop fucking around. But we have our Heroes Day organizing party. I love this because we also get the discussion of who's worthy and who's not. Talking about like a lot of these people that were taken were pieces of shit, and that you know, we don't know. We really don't know like the rhyme or reason behind any of it all. But I do like that they call it Heroes Day because we don't know what, we can't call it. We don't know what the fuck happened day. I like that. But there is a little part here that comes from that scene, and I'm just going to play it really quick right now.
It's time. Everybody's ready to feel better.
Not the remnant.
At last, the chief speaks.
I would have said something sooner, but I was so riveted.
So we're gonna do this again?
The whole town, the same place at the same time. On the anniversary. You're inviting them to show up.
The GR isn't a threat. If they want to stage a nonviolent protest, that's their right.
You were at the homecoming. They walked right onto the field.
And then they walked right off. No harm done.
They are trying to provoke us.
Then don't get provoked.
So yeah, in this scene, Kevin's talking about his hate, you know, his worry about the guilty remnant starting stuff at Heroes Day, because it's pretty much tailor-made for them to come and fuck with it. But it also doesn't help that he's also got the fact that he knows his wife is involved, and I'm sure that that is not, and you know, that's definitely a factor in his decision and how he thinks about this whole thing. But I like how Amanda Warren, you know, he's like, we don't know who they are. When she goes, we do know who they were. And I like that they're, all these people are us. We just don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And that part kind of bothers me because, you know, it's not fair to your family to tell them like why you're just up and bailing like that. And then, you know, they at least knew what your thought processes are. But to just up and bounce and leave everybody hanging, like, because you're part of some sort of understanding, you know, another kind of cult, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. But, you know, I like how he's, you know, like, oh, do you think we're ready for this? We're ready to fucking explode. And I mean, I feel it in these days. Not for the same reasons, but there is a very volatile, explosive feeling out there. And I fully expect it to completely die down because people are fucking pussies, but there is like an air of explosion out there. The girl that trips Jill out on the, what is that, lacrosse or whatever they're playing, field hockey? Lacrosse. Field hockey or whatever, when she trips her and then she bashes her in the face. I was like, fuck that girl. Like, we're supposed to feel like maybe that was too far, and it's like, no, man, that girl took her feet out from under her. She could have bit her fucking tongue out, so she broke her nose. Fucking ain't right, man. Oh, like, pull her into the freaking office to say, are you okay? We know your mom's, like, left and everything. It's like, you know, even if that's true, the girl cut my legs out from under me. I can't let that stand. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Peter Berg does his cameo in the Wayne stuff. But Kevin, man, he just looks rough. He comes back from that meeting. Everything is just, you can just feel the weight on Kevin. And just smashes the picture with his wife in it, you know, looking at it, you know, like, oh, like for a second, like that's what I had and that's what I lost, bam, you know. But the Guilty Remnant now have a new target, which is Arwen. It's hard not to say it, but Liv Tyler's Meg character, they've now got files on her, so they start following her around. We're also now introduced, well, we're not introduced, she's been in it before, but Emily Mead. I want to bring up Emily Mead because, again, she's a veteran now of HBO shows. She was also on Boardwalk Empire and The Deuce. She's in this. Not very much, unfortunately, but I love Emily Mead. She is gorgeous and quite a talented little actress. And here's a scene from Boardwalk Empire that she's in, and I really like her a lot. She's hot.
I looked at your book while you were sleeping.
Yeah? What'd you think?
I'm heading west myself. Like the girl in the story. California as soon as I save up.
You're gonna be in the pictures.
Gee, I don't know, maybe.
Well, you're certainly pretty enough.
Don't kid a kidder.
You are. You're prettier than Lillian Gish. I'd watch you.
Would you save me from my brutish father?
He's out of prison.
Like Lillian Gish. Broken Blossoms?
I'd sure give it a shot.
Well, then maybe I'll let you come with me.
You love me?
I might.
How come?
'Cause I think you need taking care of.
Yeah, I meant to put her in earlier because I just wanted to, I forgot, I got so many different things I'm putting in here that she kind of slipped through. But this is a good scene, her and Jill talking about, you know, her mom and her attitude and things. And she definitely wants to sleep with her dad. She's that girl that comes over to the house and is just like staring at you a little weird, you know, that kind of thing. And especially now, like in this situation, it's just like people just don't care. And she sees like a void there where there's no mom. She's kind of talking like, you know, the way she's talking about the situation with Jill. Like, we've been talking about her attitude almost like a motherly voice. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. And I would definitely, if I was Jill's dad, if I was Kevin, I'd be like, oh, Christ, no. But we also have the twins from Desperate Housewives. I know that they're the Carver twins or whatever, but they're always going to be the Desperate Housewife twins, okay? They're they're pretty funny. So next thing up is the Guilty Remnant now make their move on Meg, played by Liv Tyler, where it starts out where they're standing out in front of her house. They follow them out to dinner. They're standing there when they go home, and she fucking loses it. And I was just like, it's just depressing. And it's like coming again from like, if people think Jehovah's Witnesses are bad, right? Knocking on your door and stuff. How about somebody just staring at you all the time and not even saying anything and no explanation? At least Jehovah's Witnesses, you know what's coming. Like, do you want the Watchtower and Awake? Would you like to blah, blah, blah and join our church? These people, they just stand there and are off-putting. They're there to create that question in your brain of what's going on? Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. It's to create conflict. Jehovah's Witnesses, you just want to slam the door in their face, you know what I mean? But that scene where the guy is singing to her on the way back home from the restaurant trying to make things better, it's a, I think, almost purposely awkward scene because it's kind of saying like their relationship, like all of a sudden maybe their relationship, maybe things with her in her life that are supposed to be fine because they're talking about their, you know, all the things that they're coming in their life that they're supposed to be looking forward to. And you just kind of don't feel that in the car. You felt it earlier when they were following them and it was bothering her, but it's kind of weird because in the end you kind of think that maybe the reason it's bothering her is because it's pretty close to the mark, that they know, you know, that there's something that Meg isn't saying, and it has to do with, you know, her life. But then what did the five fingers say to the face? Slap. So Amy Brenneman's Laurie gets cracked in the face by Meg, and it's pretty harsh, and I love it. But then we have where Jill and the Carver twins, they open up the trunk of her dad's car and find the dead dog. So there is another thing. So they go and they actually bury it. And, you know, that scene that they were in at the party, I kind of skipped over that. That party scene, the initial time I watched that, that scene pissed me off. Because it's just that whole thing of that disaffected youth thing where they're playing on their phones, a game where, oh, I gotta burn myself. Oh, it says fuck? Okay, we have to fuck. And I just was like, it made me weep for the species. I know that I remember being a teenager and doing stupid shit, but I mean, that's whole next level crap. I mean, what's next? What's the next rebellion? Murder? A light kidnapping? Grand Theft Auto as a joke? I don't know. That's what I was thinking the first time I saw it. I've lightened up since then, but I mean, still, it's a very hard to watch scene to see teens just behaving in a way that appears that they don't care about consequences at all. And I think maybe that's it. Because I've always had to live with consequences, and I think that maybe it bugged me because I was feeling like, Jesus, I wish I could act with no consequences. But when the Carver twins talk about the dogs, and it's an interesting conversation that they have about how the dogs just snapped. Like Dean says to Kevin, these aren't our dogs anymore. And he didn't understand that. And what they say is that what they heard about this pack of dogs that are running around, and that they're the dogs who witnessed the departure, that they were there when somebody disappeared, and that their brains, you know, they do dog stuff. They eat and crap and mate and whatever. But when they see something that they literally can't explain, it just broke their brains and made them like wild. And that's, honestly, I would say that would probably be something that I couldn't say wouldn't occur in nature. It just almost makes sense. Like when you rule out all the other possibilities, you know, like to quote Mulder, wouldn't we finally turn to the fantastic as an explanation? And back to the X-Files. That's like my one per list. I like the guy from What Culture. But Kevin, meanwhile, after, you know, he hits a deer and he blacks out. And it's the next day. That was a scary ass scene though. I'm sorry. I didn't want to see that deer. He hits the deer and he goes and you can hear that. And he wakes up the next morning. He's late for the Heroes' Day. Jill didn't come home from the party, and the kitchen is completely destroyed. Like a wild animal was loose in the kitchen. And you'd say that a person couldn't have done that, but he blacked out, and I'm just pretty positive that without Jill there, he destroyed his own kitchen in some sort of fugue state. But I can't remember for sure. Maybe it was the deer. This show sometimes. I'm liking that I don't remember everything because it makes it nice when you rewatch something to go, oh, that's But Heroes Day is here upon us. Everybody's freaking out, and there's the mayor I love. She's like, sees a clown. She's like, no fucking clowns on Heroes Day. Jesus Christ. But we're finally introduced to Matt, played by Christopher Eccleston, who is a priest. But at this moment, you kind of don't really know that, I guess. But he's handing out pamphlets and just basically telling all these people that are gone, all you friends, neighbors, loved ones, he's done all this research on them, and he's got all this paperwork, and he's basically got mugshot flyers for everybody, and saying what they were really like, and that we should stop, worshiping or carrying on for these people that were not very good people in real life. Now, that's not everyone, but he's definitely trying to poke, holes in anybody's theories that this was some sort of holy thing. Like a lot of people are saying, like, well, why was this guy taken? He's a piece of shit. It goes up. It's mentioned later on when they're watching TV. But they unveil the statue, this fucking statue, right? It's this golden monstrosity of just like very religious kind of feeling from it, of the like coming together, letting go, like, oh, it's just fuck right off. Like, if I saw that, I'd want to knock it over, right? If I was like, I'd join the, like people, no wonder people join the Guilty Remnant, like that kind of thing. I mean, I know that they mean well, right? But it's just, pardon me. And they got those little kids out there reading the departed's names, like, oh geez, man, those poor kids. And that little kid that accidentally says Zimmerman wrong and just looks mortified, like she just ruined somebody's life. It's just so sad. But we are now introduced to Carrie Coon's Nora Durst, who, like when they talk earlier about statistics and stuff, about 1 in 50, and that, there's a good portion of the population that might not even have been affected by it that hardly, that much. But she lost everyone. She lost both her kids and her husband, and it's just, oh God, her performance in this, starting out, because, oh my God, does her character just unfold like a flower. I love it. But she has this very heartfelt speech about how, describing her family life and how she was in this moment of happiness and how she felt like she didn't deserve any of it and anything that good in her life. And that, they had this horrible day where nothing went right, and how she would give anything to have that horrible Saturday where her where everybody was sick and miserable, but they'd all be alive and together. And it's just fucking tragic and heartbreaking, because then this is exactly when the Guilty Remnants show up, and everything just goes right to hell, and as you'd think it would, and people are just tearing each other apart, and they got their banners that are up like "Stop wasting your breath." Like, fuck. I mean, they get pushed and they're standing up. They are just they're willing to go down with the ship hard. I mean, they knew what was going to happen. I mean, that one lady takes a bottle to the face, man. Even he's going to town with that nightstick. He is letting out some anger, and, the Guilty Remnant, we're not going to, tackle the Guilty Remnant all in one episode. You can't. I'm not going to try to explain them completely, because it's just, in a lot of ways, there's things that you just can't explain about it. But later, after the fight's over and everything, and everybody's moved on, and he even gets Lori out of there, or at least saves her from getting hurt. He ends up at a bar where everybody's showing pictures of everybody that got taken, including Shaq and the Pope and everything. Gary Busey's on there, and it makes the bartender go, well, what's the what's the criteria? How do you make the cut? And I'm thinking, the cut, like as if we think, they're all you're supposed to just assume that they're all in a better place. What if they're not? What if we're the ones that are I just love those kind of questions that just make everybody's brain hurt. But we're reintroduced to the lady from the very beginning of the episode who lost her baby, and she's in the bar too, and she's, where were you? I was, we get to see a little more about Kevin, because she asks him where he was, and we see he was not cleaning gutters. I mean, I gotta do it. I set myself up for the joke. He was cleaning gutters all right. Just not the kind that are on a house. Sorry. I don't usually go like that, but if you know like what I'm talking about, you know that he wasn't cleaning out gutters. He was cleaning out gutters. And so there's a reason he's not open about where he was but he was having sex with somebody, and it didn't appear to be his wife. And so, but we don't know the full like impact of that situation. Just that. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Cleaning gutters, I just couldn't help myself. But he's drunk and he sees the dog sniper guy, and he takes off and he won't stop. But and he's just wasted. He's got his he's trying to draw his gun out in the middle of the street, dropping it on the ground. The guilty remnant are there staring at him. I half expected him to like pistol whip one of the guys, but he ends up going. He sees a guilty remnant and decides to go see Lori because he wants to talk. Like he wants to catch up to see his wife. He's going through all this shit alone. One of his kids basically doesn't care about anything. The other ones ran off with brother Wayne, and so he just wants his wife back, and it's so heartbreaking. He beats the shit out of this guy to get to her, and Patty comes out, being all Patty. And, come home. Just come home. And you can see on Amy Brenneman's face, it's like that tortured part of her that's just like, she looks like if she bends even a little bit, she's going home. But oh my God. Okay, apparently I have another fly in here that I have to kill everybody. So I better end this pretty soon. What is it? Is it the freaking heat? It's the heat, isn't it? Because it's like 100 degrees outside right now. But she doesn't go with. He gets punched up a little bit, and then Meg, played by Liv Tyler, shows up at the door at the guilty remnant, looking to stay there. So that flips the script on that whole situation. So it kind of says maybe her own life wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and that something's going on with her that's deeper than anybody knows except for her. Really quickly, I want to talk about Jill and Tom's storyline. I feel really bad because their storylines, while these actors are all really good, their storylines kind of go nowhere in this whole show. By the end of it, it's kind of just like, oh, that happened to them. Like it's a shame that their stories doesn't get much of a payoff. So if I don't mention them too often in the course of these reviews, I apologize. It's just they don't give me much to work with. It's not the actor's fault. It's the plots and the writer's fault. But the final part here that gets started is with the deer. He's driving home. Kevin's driving home, and there's a deer in the road. And so he's been seeing this deer image and the whole thing with the dogs, and he gets out, and he's talking to the deer like, were you in my kitchen? Because it doesn't move. It doesn't move. Okay, so there's something off about this whole situation. But then you hear barking, and a whole fucking pack of dogs just come charging, and the deer can't get away, and they just rip it to shreds in the middle of the street. At the same time, Dean pulls up in his monster truck, practically, his giant 4x4, gets out and starts shooting the dogs, and he's like, I told you these aren't our dogs, man. And he's like, get your gun out, man. And that's how our episode ends, with a lot of dogs getting shot. So it's just like with Game of Thrones, like when that ended with, spoilers, the first episode ended with Bran getting pushed out the window because he saw Jaime and Cersei fucking. I was like, what the hell am I watching? If your episode ends with incest and child murder. The same thing here. First a deer is ripped to shreds, and then two men proceed to execute every dog they see. So it's amazing that I even went back to this show, but I mean, you kind of have to. Like, I hate to admit it, but it's like, well, if they're going to shoot dogs, what's going to happen next? And believe me, it's all well worth the wait. So that's the episode. That's pilot of The Leftovers. I hope you like this review. I hope this makes you want to watch it if you haven't seen it, because I didn't cover everything. I just tried to give you just a little starter course for the leftovers. These videos won't be this long all the time, so don't worry about it, but I do feel like going all out and putting as much stuff and content into these videos as I possibly can. And yeah, so if you like this video, please hit the like button. Comment, share, subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, please join us. Share this video if you like it. If you know people that like the leftovers, or you just think that I'm alright. Please hit that bell for all notifications. If you want to donate to the channel, we have a Patreon, we have a PayPal. Patreon at Smirking Gun Reviews. Same as the PayPal. We have Twitter. If you want to talk to me on Twitter, I'm at Yesh8, at YESSHH8. You can message me there. Yeah, I think that's all that I got to say. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying thank you so much for choosing to watch this video, and hopefully you liked it. Otherwise, we will be back with another video as soon as I can. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye. Very anticlimactic, sorry.
Yeah! Oh, zap! Somebody got guts, yo!